well, passenger sides are all coming together. So really just been fitting everything out back as it was. I've not put any of the aircon system back in yet, but that will be going in. At the moment I'm just kind of loosely fitting, well not loosely, properly fitting everything into place. The wing's been seam sealed and bolted through rather than welded on. Gives the opportunity then for servicing at some point in the future if necessary. Used a seam sealer where it mates. Okay, so it's not glued on, it's seam sealed on. And that's really kind of coming together. I will paint this. It is coming together. I'm going to be, tomorrow, I think really I want to start getting this side apart. Actually prior to that I'm going to put the rest of this interior together, because there's no reason now why this side can't go back together. Now I can get all of the aircon unit and so forth back under the dash. The customer wanted to delete the aircon purely because he didn't have all of the gas and so forth in it. However, I can't find anyone that's got the glove box set up for the aircon. So what I'll end up doing is putting the aircon unit back under the dash and perhaps delete the pipes and the matrix and so forth. But I will talk to the customer before I go too far with that. One minor cock up, I forgot to weld the bracket back onto the floor that supports the relays. So I found that. I'll just need to drill the paint and then create a weld so I can weld that into place. And I've been sorting out, don't worry about that shutting, that's just a slave door. I need to sort out all of the other bits and bobs around the interior so this side can then be finished and I can start on the driver's side. But from where I started now, I'm quite pleased with that. I think that's done the job. Very nice. Okay, a few paint runs in there, but that's because I was going at it with a brush. This side, yeah, still need to work out why this thing won't start. Now, I had some advice from Paul, because this system is a hot wire, but non-lambda 3.9. It's very, very early 3.9. And apparently it does take readings from the fuel sensor and also from the water sensor, which is there. So I need to just apparently need to work with these to find out which one of these is causing the problem and then probably be able to start it up. Today I'm going to be pulling this this driver's side apart, primarily to fix the sill, the footwell, the bulkhead side, the front inner wing. Now from the inside you can see some compromised holes, daylight holes through there. From the outside, yeah, that's nasty. As you've already seen, original wings on this thing. It's a 1989 car. It's done well. We have got on here an aftermarket alarm system, which could be one of the reasons why I'm struggling to get this thing started. There's also all the ABS setup, expansion bottle, battery, etc, etc, etc. Now the customer doesn't want this thing to go back onto aircon, I guess partly because it's not charged up as it stands at the moment, but also it's just a faff trying to get it all sorted out. So I'm working with him on that as to whether he goes with the aircon or not. But I think my first job today really is to get this thing stripped, and then once it's stripped I can start seeing what needs to be done. So, well, I guess there's only one way to start, and that's one bite at a time. So battery needs to come out. That's the easy bit. That can lift straight out. Oh, nice battery. And then I'm just going to start pulling bits out really. There's not a huge amount of excitement really around how this happens. We've got the bonnet cord is on this side, so I need to make sure that all comes out. I had started to do this. If the customer's definitely not going to go with the aircon option, then I shall take all the aircon compressor and so forth off. But really, you could see how the new inner wing on this side and the old inner wing on this side, you can see its job. That definitely needs doing. my car is not so bad down here, but the rest of it is just as bad. And you can see this has still got chalk marks all over it from its assembly. As far as the sill's concerned, yeah, we've got bloody great big blobs of glass fibre. There's a cover sill that's welded over the top of the original sill. You can still see here, there's the original sill inside the hole there. The floor is not looking beautiful. It's just got fucking great lumps of steel welded over the top of it. So we're probably going to end up doing much the same as we did on the passenger side, of replacing the entire sill section. And that's all done over there now. And yeah, I think, stop gabbing on about it, Richard. Start stripping it down. Oh good, nothing really nasty, lots of corroded fixings. Naturally, none of the damper mounts on the pump were still attached. That's not uncommon. What was worrying though was the split on the overflow from the pump back to the reservoir. It's not good, is it? So we need to replace that pipe. The rest of this I'm just going to just take it apart. So that can just cut off. I can deal with that later on. That can come off now with the oh come on, oh there was one attached, look at that, one is attached. Right, let's get that bolt off. Oh, it looks like someone's had it go already because it's loose. Fun and games. Well, it didn't actually put it that much of a struggle once I drilled the spot welds for the slam panel, which has come off intact up there. And then, because I'm replacing it anyway, sliced through the inner wing, because I've got no intention of keeping that, because it's just fucked. I'm sure there's people out there saying, oh, don't check it out, it's better than mine. I'm going to take this bottom panel off here for now, because I need that. I might need, no, I've got another one. Another one came. So really now, you can start seeing the full extent of the grot fest that is this car. That someone's been busy welding pieces, plates on over the top. And it's not uncommon, folks. It really is not uncommon to see them like this. See them fix it, and if we go down to the passenger side, I know there's a gearbox over here. Voila. Nice. That's a really heavy duty chassis paint I put on the other side. So, you have to excuse me folks, I've popped my eardrum on this side. I don't know how I've done it, but it is buckling up my ears, something rotten. Oh, fucking nuisance bastard. And now I've just cut myself against that fucking wing. Yeah, so drill a few more spot welds out, and then I can start seeing what's going on with the bulkhead, get the bulkhead repaired next. We'll see really what is required. On the passenger side, I ended up replacing the actual footwell in its entirety. So I put one of these panels in to go into the workshop. Go for a little walk with Richard. And today, we're going into the workshop. Could have been a bit more organised with that particular sequence. One of these bastards. So I buy these. This is a DVS jobby, I think, this one. Drill the spot welds out the side, take the side piece off, reshape it so it's the correct shape, and then fit it. That's what I use for the footwells. Then once the footwell's done, I can fix the bulkhead. Once the bulkhead's fixed, I can put the inner wing on. As you can see, I also need to do the sill on this side. And here you can very clearly see sill over sill over sill over sill. Over sill, over sill, sill, yes, sill. Just see how many sills we can put on. Right, I think I'm going to start pulling this apart. I think we're going to end up that this is just an absolute fucking shambles, because it looks like it's probably been welded. The two halves have been welded together, and you can see where, above where they've welded, you can see daylight through. See daylight through there as well. There, daylight. It's not the worst. A quiet bit from the boys over the road, because they're crunching up stone. Well, they have been for the last 2 weeks now, but they need to do it. I thought I'd kind of just show you what it is we've got in here. So enormous patches been welded on. So I think that that is largely original there. Enormous patch welded on here. It seems to have gone more or less up to where the seatbelt is, but you can see the top of the sill underneath the seatbelt was compromised. It's certainly compromised there. Another enormous patch gone in along here, but there's the edge of the sill. So this is the bit that I'm really interested in, because I'm going to replace this entire sill. So I will drill spot welds along here and all the way down here. Now, having had a damn good look around kind of the, you know, the front of the car, there is localized areas of rot, but we haven't got anywhere near the level of rot that we had on the passenger side. So for instance here, you can actually still see that we've still got the ribs. Now, what they've basically done, if you look, this is all original. However, underneath it's kind of gone. So all of that, you see, just all going to have to come off. And then the previous kind of MOT repair has just welded in this fucking great lump of steel here, which they bashed into shape and then not really welded up against the edges. Shit happens. Sorry, I've still got problems with my fucking ears. Snort. So really, that came straight off because it wasn't actually really attached to anything anyway. I might have to see if I can get another one of these, or copy it from the other side and just make up the repair section. You can see the bottom end of it is completely rotted away. Anyway, enough of that bollocks. So going along here, spot welds, chip all of this sound deadening away, spot welds, cut, yeah, and then spot welds, spot welds, spot welds, spot welds, spot welds, spot welds around the seatbelt mounting bracket. And then we probably won't be that far off getting the sill off. Now what I might have to do here is to cut off the outer cover sill section, really just so I can see what's going on. I did notice that the leading edge of the A-post is a bit shagged out, and the trailing edge might need some repairs as well there, so we'll see what's going on. That's about it really. I'm going to crack on, so I'm not going to video all this because I don't need to. Taking the steering wheel off to save myself banging my head on it 55 million times. I'm going to get some of the fire blankets that Dale very kindly donated to me, just to really kind of cover up the interior, so I'm not going to be showering the interior with sparks. I've got to find out what that is there. Bloody great lump of glass fibre. And then as far as the body mount is concerned, again, we're nowhere near as bad as we were on the passenger side. So I'm not going to go too berserk with this. I'm going to take this piece off here, which is the last remnant of the inner wing section. I'll ground back down there and you can see the line of spot welds down the edge there. And then I'm going to go over this with a needle scaler, because I think a lot of this damage is either localised repair or it's where the body sealant has actually just started to lift. Okay? I think that's pretty much about it. Might take the pedal box out, might not. We'll see. It's taking hours. The reason it's taking hours is because I've kind of got to be a little bit careful about where I'm firing the grinder sparks, and we've got an interior and everything on this, but there are just patches over patches over patches. Now this line of welds along here, that was good, because basically it had the original floor on it, and then this piece had been badly welded up against it. The inner sill wasn't really attached to it at all, because that's over there. That wasn't attached to this big welded in sheet. And the footwell was just tacked onto the inside of the A-post and on the inside of the side of the bulkhead. So I'm probably going to end up doing almost as much work as I did on the other side. So I started nibbling away at this, seeing if I could actually just do a little bit and bob here and there. And it's turning into a way bigger job. I've not even got the back section off here. I think I'm rather hoping this is going to be easier. What I'm probably going to do is actually just chop it off here, level with the bottom of the B-post, and then weld that B-post piece back on, so I can actually sort it out on the bench, rather than, I can be a bit more brutal with it then. The other thing is I've noticed this arch, with all my percussing and so forth, this arch has started to go as well. Here we go, cutting off the back end of this sill. So this is the kind of crap that I'm facing. So someone's bashed the original sill up, welded this huge cover piece over the top of it, hasn't actually bridged the gap at all. Inner sill didn't actually look too bad. Traces of filler. Yes. It's just proving to be an absolute and utter fucking arseache getting this thing apart, I can tell you. So I'm going at it with a reciprocating saw now, trying to separate the floor from the actual. I think that might be there. That piece there might be holding it. So I need the A post to be separate. Now the A post is largely separate because I can shift the whole thing up and down and move it back and forth. So there's a degree of flexibility in it. But this is where it's causing so many problems because you just, what are you cutting through? And why would you put on a replacement cover sill over the top like that? It's just shambles, isn't it? Never mind. Scrap pile for this sill is getting bigger by the second. As you can see, I was quite brutal with the footwell in the end. Purely because it was just such a fucking mess. Yes. Right. Let me get this bastard off now, I think. Realistically, I need to kind of get in towards where the body mount is, which is underneath here somewhere, and get that undone. But I also need to find where the original spot welds were on here, or just cut the whole fucking thing off. I don't know yet. Got it off. Oh my god. Patches over patches over patches. It happens. Right, I've managed to get everything off the back of the B post, which I'm happy about. That can go back once I've aligned everything and got everything measured up. Interestingly, and somewhat amusingly, the rear body mount onto the sill was held to the sill with glass fibre. All of this really is kind of the original structure. There wasn't really anything on the inner sill section that was still connecting it to this, because most of it had rotted away. So yeah, it's it's going to be a world better. It really is. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to get this sill back on now, and I've got music on in the background, so it's probably going to end up being demonetised, isn't it, eh? I'll take it back. The body mount's still attached to the rear wheel arch, so it's quite a... Aside from all this devastation here, there is a big chunk of metal up there that is holding the rear mounting onto the arch. However, it doesn't want to, and it wants to come off. Brutal, I know. Yeah, I'm going to get Mr. Saw in there. I think I just saw the... It's this section under here that's attached onto, and that's going to get replaced anyway. So now we can start to put it back together again. Rear body mount, basically the bolt is seized inside the housing inside the mount. It's not uncommon. These things have been there since, well, this one's been there since 1989. But now you see the back of the B post is in good order, the floor is in good order, right the way up to the front edge of the sill. The chassis is in good order. So next step for this is to put the new sill in. So I'm going to line everything up, drill it, screw it together, take it off, weld it. Well, that's all that remains of the sill and footwell, and a few brake lines and a lot of rust. Okay, that piece on the top there's off the back of my car. But that's all that remains. Now, I've cut all of the shite out, as well prepared, Richard, of this side of the car. As you can see, I've been having a bit of a tidy up in here. Found all my fire blankets that Dale donated. Thank you very much, Dale. So then trial fitted the sill, welded the sill together. So I've seam welded along the bottom edge. Probably doesn't need it. Originally it was in spot welded every inch, but whatever. And then lots of fairly heavy tag welds along there, seam weld along there. The reinforcing piece that the fuel lines and so forth sit on was already spot welded onto this panel, so all I had to do was to weld the inner and the outer sill sections together. And then painted it, because it's a lot more fun painting the right way up than it is upside down. Now, once that's all dry, I shall put the mounts on and fit it onto the car. Then I can start the lengthy process of aligning everything. So that's that really. get on with that tomorrow. Great strides forwards. So finished off, well, it still needs tidying and painting, but finished off the welding on the floor in here. I'm going to properly replace this arch, which is why I've not messed around too much with the bottom edge down there. Door shuts, good gaps. Welded the BC post into place. Again, just need to flat the welds back. Welded the box that goes around the seat belt. That's all welded back in. Not welded this in yet because half it's missing, and there's also quite a good place to sit. So I've welded the section onto the inside of the A-post and then welded the A-post to the sill. Now what I want to do next really is drop a door into place and see if the door actually fits in here, which it should do. I don't see any reason why it won't. Just going to tuck that in there. If it'll bloody go, you bastard. Get in there, you fucker. Ah. Right. These are my doors, by the way, not the customer's doors. I'm just using them to really just check alignment and so forth. Right. Let's get that door on. It goes on. It closes. The lining up is good enough for me to work with. There's no point me lining these up because I need to line up the doors that are actually going to destined to stay with the car. I'm pretty pleased with that actually. It will do the job for now. The car's got 4 doors on it again. It's nice, isn't it? Right, I'll pack it up. Well then, I don't know what happened, but I lost all the footage. Beginners, eh? I don't know. Right, so let me show you what happened. Not how I did it. It's fairly straightforward though. You've seen all the important stuff about cutting all the crots out, unstitching all of the disaster zone, and then kind of aligning and fitting the sill. Right, so here we are in the front. Didn't take the pedal box out, as you can see. Made up patches which I've welded in there. There's a few pop rivets in here as well. Okay, it's a bit pitch and slot, but once that seam's sealed, it's going to be good. And here you can see where I kind of cut the original floor pan and welded in a whole new chunk of steel top to bottom, but it's gone in pretty much in the same sort of areas as the factory might have put it originally. There's much less daylight. There's a bit of daylight down there, you can see, but there's much less daylight pointing through this thing. It stands a fighting chance of being able to really protect itself moving forwards, as you can see. Oh, hello L95. Oh my goodness. Right, 1 second. Shut this door. Right, I'll pop the doors on really to keep the majority of the weather out. And I've had to pop a bonnet on here as well to keep the majority of the weather out. It is covered, but they're not the best. Right, still to do the bottom of the A-post, and you can see here I've made up the side of the bulkhead and the floor, seam sealed all around, put in the new floor support. I still need to do all the brake lines and so forth. I need to make up that bracket over there which connects the brake lines, and then as you can see I've fitted the new wing. Lovely, eh? Someone's been looking for the chassis number, and it is there. Right, the only other thing I've done, because like I say I was running out of time here, and weather, I mean today is beautiful now, but you wouldn't have believed it an hour ago, it was horizontal. So really all I've done, I popped the bonnet on here because the moisture was getting in, and just making a complete fucking mess of it, I'll be honest. But now everything's bolted in place, I can actually start to refit this thing. Then I can get all the brakes in, and then I can be done with it. I still need to do a restoration on the slam panel. What I'm probably going to do here is that bonnet will stay there. It's probably just cut this section off here with the holes in it, splice a new piece in. As you can see, it actually goes in behind the main panel anyway. So just make up a new edge. Top to bottom, weld it in, drilled through, and I'll probably end up bolting the slam panel back as I have done on a number of other cars, purely because it just makes life in the future a shitload easier. That is pretty much it for this. Oh look, there's the old wing down there still. Yes, a new wing. A bonnet. Don't talk about the yellow. It was a, I've got it off Mr. Hammond, it was a young farmer's stunt. Apparently they roller painted it. It was Plymouth blue by the looks of things originally. I just thought I saw a blue colour. But anyway, it's a bonnet. It keeps the weather off all the work I've done. Because what was happening was, because there was no bonnet on it, the cover was getting torn to shreds by the corners of the inner wings, both sides. I'll tie that back down again. But yeah, it inches forwards. I mean, it's stuck outside. This is how much rain we get this morning, look. I'm going to float a duck in that. That's not a euphemism. It's just gross, Richard. They're not called ducks anyway, they're called dead otters. Back to the workshop.